The massive alien ships appeared without warning, their dark hulls blotting out the morning sun over every major city on Earth. The sight that would have once caused panic instead met with an eerie calm. Humanity had been preparing for this day for longer than anyone knew. Admiral Lee Jinwoo stood at his command post in the United Earth Defense Headquarters, buried deep beneath the mountains of South Korea. His weathered face showed no sign of concern as he watched the tactical displays light up with the positions of the alien vessels. Decades of preparation had led to this moment. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the lead vessel," reported Lieutenant Kim, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." Jinwoo nodded, his silver-streaked hair catching the blue light of the displays. "Put it through." The alien that appeared on the main screen was tall and regal, with iridescent scales and multiple eyes that glowed with obvious disdain. "I am Supreme Commander Rai of the Galactic Federation. Your primitive world has been chosen for integration into our empire. You have 24 hours to surrender and submit to our rule, or face immediate destruction." The command center remained silent, but Jinwoo noticed several of his officers hiding slight smiles. They all knew what was coming. "Supreme Commander," Jinwoo replied, his voice steady and calm. "I am Admiral Lee Jinwoo of the United Earth Defense Force. We've been monitoring your approach for the past 3 months." This caused Rai to blink in surprise. The alien's secondary eyes narrowed. "Impossible. Our stealth technology is based on phase-shifted quantum fields." Jinwoo interrupted. "We detected the gravity waves from your drive systems the moment you entered the Kuiper Belt." The Admiral walked closer to the screen, his hands clasped behind his back. The movement was casual, but every step was calculated. "We've had time to study your capabilities, your weapons, your defenses. Tell me, Commander, did you ever wonder why your Federation's historical records contain so little information about Earth?" Ray's scales shifted color slightly, a sign of uncertainty that Earth's xenobiologists had documented years ago from other encounters. "Your world is insignificant, a primitive backwater." "No," Jinwoo said softly. "Earth is where empires come to die." He pressed a button on his console, sending a data packet to the alien fleet. "These are records of the last 3 species that tried to conquer Earth. You won't find them in your databases because they no longer exist." The command center sensors detected energy spikes from the alien vessels, weapons powering up. Jinwoo remained unmoved. "We've spent centuries preparing for this moment. Every weapon you have, we've developed a counter for. Every strategy you might employ, we've simulated and defeated. Right now, there are 300 quantum-linked defense platforms surrounding your fleet, invisible to your sensors." "You lie," Rai hissed, but there was a new edge to the alien's voice. Jinwoo smiled and pressed another button. Across Earth's skies, the defense platforms shimmered into view, their weapons already locked onto every alien vessel. The platforms had been there for decades, waiting. "You have a choice, Supreme Commander. You can turn your fleet around and leave our solar system. We'll even let you keep the data I just sent you, as a reminder of why Earth is left alone. Or, Rai demanded. "Or you'll learn firsthand why the last species to attack Earth called us the Quiet Devils in their final transmissions." Jinwoo's smile never wavered. "You should run while you can." The threat hung in the air as Jinwoo cut the transmission. He turned to his staff, noting their ready positions at their stations. "Begin countdown for Defense Protocol Delta. Alert all Earth forces to stand ready, but do not engage unless fired upon." "Sir," Lieutenant Kim spoke up, "do you think they'll retreat?" Jinwoo watched the tactical display, where the alien ships had stopped their advance. "They're arrogant, but not stupid. They'll spend the next few hours scanning our defenses, realizing just how prepared we are." He checked his watch. "I give them 6 hours before they withdraw." "And if they don't?" asked another officer. Then we show them why humanity survived every extinction event that tried to wipe us out. Jin Woo's eyes hardened. And why we're still here. The next few hours proved Jin Woo right. The alien ships probed Earth's defenses with increasingly desperate scans, finding layer after layer of protection they hadn't expected. Quantum shields, dimensional anchors, temporal stabilizers. Humanity had reverse-engineered similar technology from previous encounters and improved upon it. 5 hours and 43 minutes after the ultimatum, the alien fleet began to move, not toward Earth, but away, their engines pushing them back toward the outer solar system. "They're running," Lieutenant Kim announced, unable to keep the pride from her voice. Jin Woo nodded, allowing himself a small smile. "Send the final message." The words that transmitted to the retreating fleet were simple. "Next time, try knocking first. Earth welcomes peaceful visitors." As the alien ships disappeared into deep space, Jin Woo knew this wouldn't be the last encounter. But each time humanity drove off would-be conquerors, their reputation grew. Perhaps one day, the galaxy would learn to approach Earth with respect rather than conquest in mind. For now, though, he had reports to file and defenses to maintain. Humanity's vigilance had kept them safe today, but tomorrow would bring new challenges. Jin Woo looked around at his crew, seeing the same quiet determination in their eyes that he felt in his heart. They had trained for this their entire lives, carrying on the legacy of countless generations who had prepared Earth for this moment. They were humanity's guardians, and they would never stop watching the stars. "Stand down from alert status," Jin Woo ordered, "but keep the defense grid active. And someone get me a coffee. It's going to be a long day." His crew laughed, the tension breaking. They had faced down an alien armada with nothing more than calm words and careful preparation. It was just another Tuesday morning for Earth's defenders. And somewhere out in space, a chastened alien commander was learning what countless others had discovered before. Earth was not to be underestimated. When humanity warned you to run, the wise choice was to listen. The orbital station hung like a silver needle against Earth's blue backdrop. Captain Kim, Hannah, stood at the viewport, watching the Federation shuttle approach. Her diplomatic uniform was crisp and perfect, hiding the combat suit underneath. 20 years of military service before joining the diplomatic corps had taught her to always be prepared. "They're docking now, Captain," her aide whispered. The young lieutenant's hand kept straying to where a weapon would normally be. All of them felt naked without their usual gear, but this was a diplomatic meeting. At least, that's what they were pretending it was. Hannah straightened her back as the airlock cycled. "Remember," she said quietly to her team, "let them think they have the upper hand." The Federation representatives swept into the room with the arrogance of conquerors. Their leader, Ambassador Rai, towered over the humans. His scaled skin shimmered with patterns that Earth's xenobiologists had identified as displaying contempt. "You've prepared adequate accommodations, considering your limitations," Rai said, gesturing at the station with 3 of his 6 hands. Hannah smiled politely. "We do our best with what we have." She gestured to the conference table. "Shall we begin?" The aliens settled into their specially designed chairs. Hannah noticed how they pointedly ignored the coffee and water laid out for them. Their own drinks came from sealed containers. They clearly thought humans might try to poison them. "Let us be direct," Rai began. "Your surrender period expires in 18 hours. We are here merely to discuss the terms of your species' integration into the Federation." Hannah opened a folder, actual paper, which she knew would annoy them, and pretended to review its contents. "I see. And these terms include the immediate surrender of all Earth's military assets. Naturally, your primitive weapons would only pose a danger to yourselves." Several of the other aliens made the clicking sound that passed for laughter in their species. Hannah maintained her pleasant expression, but her eyes hardened slightly. "Primitive is an interesting choice of words, Ambassador." She pulled a small device from her pocket. "Would you consider this primitive?" The device projected a hologram of the Federation's fleet. Then it zoomed in, showing details that made the aliens shift uncomfortably. This was taken 3 months ago, when your fleet first entered our solar system. We've had plenty of time to study your capabilities. Hana's voice remained pleasant, but took on an edge. Your shield frequencies, your weapon systems, even those interesting little stealth devices you thought were keeping you hidden. Ray's scales flickered with anger. Impossible. You don't have the technology to detect quantum phase signatures, to track dimensional shifts. Hana laughed softly. Ambassador, did you ever wonder why your historical records contain so little information about Earth? She pressed another button. The hologram changed to show various alien ships, different from the Federation's, being torn apart by weapons the Federation had never seen before. These are recordings from the last 3 species that tried to conquer Earth. Your histories don't mention them because, well, they're not around anymore to write histories. The alien diplomats stared at the images, their body language showing increasing concern. Hana continued, her voice now gentle, almost sympathetic. Earth isn't what you think it is, Ambassador. We're not some primitive species waiting to be conquered. We're the species that other species warn their children about. She stood up, smoothing her uniform. I'm not here to negotiate our surrender. I'm here to give you a warning, as is our custom. Leave our solar system. Tell your leaders that Earth is not to be trifled with. We prefer peace, but we excel at war. Rai stood as well, towering over her. You dare threaten the Federation? Threaten? Hana shook her head. No, Ambassador. I'm trying to save lives, yours included. She gestured to the hologram, which now showed Earth's defense grid activating. Those are just our visible defenses, the ones we want you to see. The aliens watched as thousands of platforms appeared in orbit around their fleet, platforms that hadn't been there when they arrived. You have 17 hours left to withdraw, Hana said quietly. I suggest you use them wisely. The last species that ignored our warning lasted 12 minutes in actual combat. She gathered her papers, nodding to her team. We'll show ourselves out. Oh, and Ambassador. She paused at the door. Next time you visit someone's home, try knocking first. We're actually quite friendly to peaceful visitors. As her team left the station, Hana's aide whispered, Do you think they'll listen? They'd better, Hana replied, watching their shuttle detach. Because everything I showed them was just the tip of the iceberg. Humanity hasn't survived this long by showing all our cards at once. From the shuttle's viewport, they watched the Federation representatives hurry back to their ship. Hana could imagine the frantic reports they would send to their superiors. Sometimes the best way to avoid a war was to make your enemy realize they'd already lost. Take us home, she ordered the pilot. I have a feeling the next few hours are going to be very interesting. As their shuttle descended toward Earth, Hana allowed herself a small smile. Sometimes being a diplomat meant preventing war. Other times, it meant making sure your enemies knew exactly why they shouldn't start one. The Federation would either learn from this warning, or they would learn the hard way why Earth was left alone in this sector of space. Either way, humanity would endure. They always did. Deep within the quantum research facility beneath Mount Hala, Dr. Song Mayray watched as her predictions came true. The Federation ships had finally launched their full assault, exactly as her simulations had shown they would. She allowed herself a small smile as she activated her communication link. All stations, this is Control. Operation Mirror is now active. Repeat, Operation Mirror is active. Around the world, hidden facilities hummed to life. Technology that humanity had kept secret for decades powered up, waiting for her signal. The Federation fleet above had no idea they were about to face their own weapons, improved and turned against them. Mayray's fingers danced across her holographic controls, bringing up the main tactical display. Phase 1. Initiate, she commanded. Her team responded with quiet efficiency, the result of years of preparation. The first Federation ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Not from Earth's weapons, but from its own power core overloading. Mayray had cracked their quantum encryption months ago, during their first appearance in the solar system. Now she was showing them just how primitive Earth's technology really was. "Ma'am, they're trying to counter-hack our systems," reported Lieutenant Park from his station. "Should we block them?" "No," Mayray replied, her eyes fixed on the display. "Let them in. Let them see exactly what they're dealing with." The Federation's best cyber warfare teams broke through Earth's outer defenses, only to find themselves in a trap. Mayray had designed the security systems herself, based on technology reverse-engineered from 3 different alien species. Each layer the Federation breached revealed more of Earth's true capabilities. "They're pulling back their cyber attack," Lieutenant Park announced. "Their commands are becoming erratic." Mayray nodded. "They're starting to understand. Time for Phase 2. She pressed a sequence of commands, activating Earth's hybrid weapon systems. The weapons that emerged from Earth's defense platforms were unlike anything the Federation had seen before. They combined alien quantum technology with human innovation in ways their creators had never imagined. Beams of energy that shifted between dimensions, missiles that ignored shields by traveling through localized time distortions, and swarms of nanobots that could disassemble enemy ships at the atomic level. "Send the message," Mayray ordered. Her words appeared on every Federation ship's command screen. "Still think we're primitive." The Federation fleet's formation broke as they tried to defend against weapons they thought impossible. Their superior technology, copied and improved by human ingenuity, was being used to tear them apart. "Dr. Song," called out Captain Lee from Tactical, "they're attempting to use their phase shields." Mayray actually laughed. "Let them. Activate the resonance pulse." The pulse was her masterpiece, a weapon that turned the Federation's own shield technology against them. As the energy waves swept through their fleet, their supposedly impenetrable defenses collapsed. "Send the second message," she commanded. This time, the words were accompanied by technical specifications, detailed breakdowns of every Federation weapon and defense system, along with the improvements Earth had made to them. "We didn't just copy your technology," the message read. "We perfected it." In the command center, Mayray watched as realization swept through the enemy fleet. Their tight formation dissolved into chaos as ships tried to retreat from weapons they couldn't defend against. "Should we pursue?" Captain Lee asked. Mayray shook her head. "No need. Let them run. Let them tell others what happens when you underestimate humanity." She turned to her team, pride evident in her eyes. "Send word to all Earth forces. Operation Mirror is a success. The Federation fleet is in full retreat." As the alien ships fled Earth's orbit, Mayray allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Years of work, decades of preparation, had paid off. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had proven its place among the stars. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Park called out, "we're receiving transmissions from several Federation ships. They're requesting talks." Mayray smiled. This too had been predicted. "Tell them we'll be happy to share our improvements to their technology, once they recognize Earth as an equal partner in the galactic community." She turned back to her workstation, already planning the next phase. The Federation had brought war to Earth's doorstep, only to discover that humanity had long since surpassed them. It was a lesson they wouldn't soon forget. "One more message," she said quietly. "Tell them. Next time, let's discuss cooperation instead of conquest. You might be surprised at what humanity can teach you." As the Federation fleet disappeared into deep space, Mayray knew the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. Sometimes the best way to win a war was to show your enemies just how badly they had underestimated you. And humanity, as always, had been underestimated. "Clean up and reset all systems," she ordered. "Something tells me we'll be receiving a lot of diplomatic visitors soon." She smiled at her team. "Let's show them what else humanity can do when we work together instead of fight." General Yoon Jae-ho stood on the bridge of the EDS Challenger, Earth's first dimensional warfare vessel. The ship hummed with power as its hybrid engines prepared for the jump. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency, each person knowing this moment would change the course of the war. "All ships report ready, sir," Commander Park announced from her station. "The fleet is in position." Jai-Ho nodded, studying the tactical display. The Federation forces had pushed too far, too fast, thinking they had Earth on the defensive. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Begin the countdown," he ordered. "Dimensional shift in 3 minutes." The fleet of 30 Earth ships hung in formation, their hulls gleaming with the strange metals that allowed them to slip between dimensions. Technology that the Federation thought impossible for primitive humans to master. 2 minutes to shift, the computer announced. Jai-Ho touched the medallion at his neck, a habit from his days as a young officer. "Send the final message to Earth Command. Operation Shadow Dance is commencing." 1 minute. The bridge crew tensed. Dimensional warfare was still new, even with all their preparation. Each jump felt like the universe was being turned inside out. 30 seconds. Jai-Ho smiled slightly. The Federation's Grand Fleet was about to learn why Sun Tzu's Art of War was still required reading for Earth's military leaders, even after all these centuries. Dimensional shift in 10, 9, 8. The general gripped his command rail as reality began to blur around them. 3, 2, 1. Shift. The universe twisted, folded, and reformed. Where moments before they had been in Earth orbit, now the fleet emerged behind the Federation's main force. Their enemy's rear was completely exposed. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta," Jai-Ho commanded. "Show them what humanity can do." Earth's ships struck like lightning from impossible angles. The Federation fleet, arranged in their traditional battle formation, found themselves caught in a trap they never saw coming. "Sir, they're trying to turn to face us," Commander Park reported. "Their formation is breaking." "Execute secondary jump," Jai-Ho ordered. Before the Federation could respond, Earth's fleet vanished again, reappearing on their flank. The battle quickly turned into a deadly dance. Every time the Federation adjusted their position, Earth's ships would shift to another dimension and strike from a new direction. It was like fighting shadows, impossible to pin down, deadly to ignore. "Enemy ships attempting to retreat," Tactical reported. "They're activating their own dimensional drives." Jai-Ho's smile widened slightly. "Activate the dimensional anchors." The Federation ships found their escape routes blocked. The humans hadn't just mastered dimensional travel, they had learned to control it, to shape space itself to their will. "Open a channel to their flagship," Jai-Ho commanded. As the communication link established, he spoke clearly and calmly. "This is General Yoon Jai-Ho of the Earth Defense Force. You could have chosen peace." The Federation commander's response was a mix of rage and disbelief. "Impossible. This technology is beyond your capability." "You still don't understand," Jai-Ho replied. "Humanity hasn't survived this long by remaining stagnant. We learn. We adapt. We improve. Every piece of technology you thought made you superior, we studied and enhanced." Another dimensional shift brought his fleet directly above the Federation forces. "Surrender now, and we'll show mercy. Continue fighting, and learn why the last species to underestimate us no longer exists." "Sir," Commander Park interrupted, "we're detecting power spikes in their weapons." Jai-Ho sighed. "They never learn. All ships, execute final attack pattern. Show them the full extent of our capabilities." The Earth fleet split into 3 groups, each shifting to a different dimensional plane. The Federation found themselves attacked from dimensions they didn't even know existed. Their mighty ships, helpless against weapons that struck from angles that shouldn't be possible, began to fall. "Enemy fleet is in full retreat," Tactical announced. "Those that can still run are breaking formation." Jai-Ho watched as the Federation's Grand Armada dissolved into chaos. "Let them go. They'll carry the message back to their leaders. Earth is not to be trifled with." As the surviving Federation ships fled, Jaho turned to his crew. "Well done, everyone. Set course for home. I believe Earth Command will be hosting some interesting diplomatic meetings soon." The fleet regrouped and made one final dimensional jump back to Earth orbit. Below them, their home planet shone blue and peaceful, protected by defenders who had mastered the very fabric of space to keep it safe. "Send word to all ships," Jaho ordered. The counteroffensive was a success. But remind everyone, we fought to end this war, not to start a bigger one. As his ship settled into orbit, Jaho reflected on how far humanity had come. From a species that once thought faster than light travel was impossible, they had become masters of dimensional warfare. And yet, their greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons. It was their ability to adapt, to learn, and to survive against any odds. "Perhaps next time," he mused quietly, "they'll take our offer of peace more seriously." The stars twinkled back, silent witnesses to humanity's latest victory. The galaxy was learning a vital lesson. Earth was not a planet of primitive beings to be conquered, but a world of survivors who had turned the art of warfare into a science that even their enemies had to admire. Commander Choi Dae-hyun walked through the gleaming corridors of the Quantum Intelligence Center, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. The massive AI complex had been humanity's best-kept secret for decades. Now it was time to show their enemies why Earth had seemed so perfectly prepared for every attack. "Oracle status?" he asked as he entered the main control room. "Fully operational, sir," Lieutenant Kim responded. "The AI has maintained a 99.97% accuracy rate in predicting Federation tactics." Dae-hyun nodded, approaching the central interface. The holographic display showed thousands of battle simulations running simultaneously, each one analyzing and predicting every possible move the Federation might make. "Show me Simulation Series Alpha," he commanded. The display shifted, revealing battles that had been predicted years ago. Battles that were now playing out exactly as the AI had foreseen. "Sir," Lieutenant Kim called out, "the Federation is launching their new offensive." Dae-hyun smiled slightly. "Right on schedule. Oracle, display counter-strategy Beta 7. The AI's response was immediate. A complex battle plan appeared, showing exactly how to counter the Federation's attack. A plan that had been refined through millions of simulations over the past 20 years. "Send the orders to all fleet commanders," Dae-hyun ordered. "Execute Beta 7 in precisely 3 minutes." As the orders went out, he opened a channel to the Federation's command ship. It was time they understood exactly what they were facing. "This is Commander Choi Dae-hyun of Earth Defense Force," he announced. "I thought you might like to know why you're about to lose this battle." The Federation commander's image appeared, scales bristling with anger. "Your arrogance will be your downfall, human." "No," Dae-hyun replied calmly. "Your predictability will be yours." He gestured, and the Oracle's display appeared on the Federation screens. "We've been simulating this war for decades. Every move you're about to make, we've already seen and countered 1,000,000 times." As if to prove his point, Earth's forces moved into perfect defensive positions, just as the Federation ships launched their attack. Each alien strategy was met with a precisely calculated countermove. "Impossible," the Federation commander hissed. "No one could predict." "But we did," Dae-hyun interrupted. "Our quantum AI has been running simulations since before you knew Earth existed. We fought this war countless times in virtual space. We know every tactic you might try." The Federation fleet attempted to adjust their strategy, only to find Earth's forces had already moved to counter their new formation. "Oracle, display Simulation 47B," Dae-hyun commanded. The screen showed a perfect prediction of the current battle, recorded years ago. "You see, we've been ready for you for longer than you've known we existed." The Federation ships began to break formation as their commanders realized the truth. Every move they made had been anticipated and prepared for. They weren't fighting a primitive species, They were fighting an enemy that had already won this war thousands of times in simulation. All Earth forces. Dahyun broadcast. Execute final phase. The trap closed. Earth's ships moved in perfect coordination, each vessel exactly where it needed to be to exploit the Federation's weaknesses. It wasn't just a battle. It was a precisely choreographed dance, planned years in advance. Your choice is simple, Dahyun told the Federation commander. Surrender now, or we can play out the remaining scenarios. I should warn you, in none of them does your fleet survive intact. The Federation ships hung motionless in space as their commanders faced an impossible reality. They had come expecting to find a primitive world ripe for conquest. Instead, they found an enemy that had been preparing for them with technology they couldn't comprehend. How? The Federation commander finally asked. How could you have known? Dahyun's response was calm. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to learn, to prepare, to imagine every possibility. Our eye didn't just predict your tactics. It helped us understand your entire civilization. The display showed more simulations, each one revealing deeper insights into Federation strategy and culture. We know you better than you know yourselves, Dahyun continued. That's why you never had a chance. As the Federation fleet began signaling their surrender, Dahyun turned to his crew. Oracle, begin running simulations for post-war scenarios. Let's make sure peace lasts this time. The AI hummed quietly, already processing millions of possible futures. Humanity had won this war not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through patience, preparation, and the ultimate understanding of their enemy. Send word to Earth Command, Dahyun ordered. The Oracle's predictions were perfect. The war is over. As he watched the Federation ships power down their weapons, Dahyun reflected on humanity's journey. They had turned their greatest fears into their greatest strength, using the possibility of invasion to drive them to create something remarkable. The Oracle continued its endless calculations, preparing humanity for whatever might come next. Because in the end, the best way to win a war was to know exactly how it would unfold before it even began. We're not primitive, Dahyun said quietly to the display of surrendering ships. We're just better at learning from the future than anyone else. The gleaming spires of New Seoul rose against the morning sky, their quantum glass surfaces reflecting both Earth's sun and the hundreds of alien ships now peacefully orbiting the planet. Ambassador Kang Sunmai adjusted her formal diplomatic robes as she prepared to enter the newly constructed Galactic Peace Chamber. Quite a change from 3 months ago, her aide remarked, noting the mixed crowd of humans and aliens gathered for the historic ceremony. Sun Li nodded, remembering the Federation's warships that had once darkened these same skies. Amazing what a little understanding can accomplish. The Peace Chamber itself was a marvel of combined human and alien engineering. Its vast dome seemed to float on air, supported by technologies from a dozen different worlds. Below it, delegates from across the galaxy gathered to witness Earth's formal acceptance into the galactic community. Sun Mi took her place at the central podium, facing the assembled representatives. The Federation's Supreme Council sat in the front row, their scales now shimmering with respect rather than contempt. Behind them, observers from 30 other spacefaring civilizations watched with keen interest. Welcome to Earth, Sun Mai began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. 3 months ago, some of you came here as conquerors. Today, you return as equals, and we hope as friends. She gestured to the historical displays lining the walls, images showing humanity's journey from their first steps into space to their current achievements. Many of you wondered why Earth was left alone for so long, why the ancient texts warned about challenging the species from the third planet. Today, you understand. We weren't isolated because we were primitive. We were isolated because those who came before you learned what happens when humanity is threatened. The Federation Council members shifted uncomfortably, remembering their recent defeat. Sun Mai continued, her tone softening. But that's not the whole story. Yes, we proved we could defend ourselves. Yes, we showed that humanity's ingenuity and preparation were more than a match for superior technology. But what we're most proud of is what happened next. She pressed a control, and new images appeared. Humans and aliens working together, sharing knowledge, building this very chamber. In just 3 months, look what we've accomplished together. Your quantum drive technology, combined with our dimensional research, your biological insights, enhanced by our medical advances. This isn't just a peace treaty we're signing today. It's a promise of what we can achieve when we work as equals. Sun Mai lifted the ancient-looking paper document, a deliberate choice, marking the historic nature of the moment. This treaty recognizes Earth as a full member of the galactic community, but more importantly, it establishes the principles of mutual respect and cooperation that will guide our future relationships. She signed first, her pen scratching softly on the paper. The Federation Council members followed, using their own traditional methods of marking agreements. As each signature was added, the chamber's quantum field recorded and validated them across multiple dimensions, making the treaty literally part of the fabric of space-time. Let this day be remembered not as the end of a conflict, Sun Mai declared, but as the beginning of a new era. An era where different species learn from each other, help each other, and grow together. She turned to face the Federation Council directly. You came here seeking to conquer a primitive world. Instead, you found equals who had been preparing to meet you for generations. And now that we know each other better, think of what we can accomplish together. The chamber erupted in applause, or various species equivalents of applause. Sun Mai smiled as she watched humans and aliens mingling freely, already discussing joint projects and sharing ideas. Her final words rang through the chamber, both a reminder and a promise. Next time, just say hello. You'll find that humanity makes much better friends than enemies. As the formal ceremony concluded, Sun Mai walked among the delegates, watching as centuries of isolation ended in a celebration of unity. Earth had proved its strength in war, but now it would show its true power, the ability to turn former enemies into allies, to build rather than destroy. Remarkable species, humans, one of the alien observers commented to her. You prepare for war for generations, yet transition to peace so easily. Sun Mai smiled. That's because we were never preparing for war. We were preparing to protect our home. Now that we don't need to do that anymore, we can focus on what humanity does best, learning, growing, and reaching for the stars. Above the peace chamber, Earth's sun shared the sky with alien ships, no longer a sign of threat, but a symbol of new beginnings. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not just through force of arms, but through the wisdom to know when to extend a hand in friendship. The future stretched out before them, bright with possibilities. And if any other species ever thought about challenging Earth again, well, the Federation's story would serve as a reminder. Sometimes the best way to win a war is to turn it into a chance for peace.